This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.
Hello, everybody. It's Paul Neeson with the Raw Life Health Show, and I am so excited that people are listening and they're taking this Astaxanthin, and it works, folks. It's so wonderful, and people are giving me testimonials how they're getting better from arthritis. And when I say getting better, their pain's going away. Their arthritis pain is going away. And, you know, for more things like cancer and diabetes, the blood tests speak for themselves. The testimonials are there. And, you know, this product is very well known, at least in the health community. And I know a lot of my subscribers had never heard of it until I mentioned it. And I want to get this message outside. I hate to see people have to suffer when they don't have to suffer. Some people say, well, that's kind of expensive. And I will submit to you that this is the cheapest or one of the least expensive items you will take, because up front it sounds expensive, but when you understand in taking it what you're saving money on in terms of if you are doing some medical testing or medical treatments for disease and so on, this is definitely a cheaper alternative. And if you're just doing it for preventative purposes, at first, the first couple of months, you have to get the whole bottle and pretty much flood your body with this. But after that, you go to a maintenance mode, and it comes out very inexpensive. And when you compare this to most other products on the market, from a cost standpoint, this is one of the least expensive, because those, you know, if you go to Amazon and you try to buy this, there's two issues with that. And that's what I wanted to make this video about, is the comparing the two types. So most other companies, they will have per capsule and recommend per capsule 2 to 4 milligrams a day. This here, I'm recommending, and the company's recommending, based on your body weight and based on your disease health challenge you're going through, up to 100 milligrams a day. You can't even get the same amount if you're getting in those bottles. So the bottle might seem, well, it's like half price. But no, that's for like quadruple less the amount of the dosage. So this is so much more the amount you take compared to the price, doing so much more. And those people aren't getting results that are taking those things. And it was disturbing to me recently that I told somebody about this, and they told somebody else. And somebody with excitement says, oh, I got it on Amazon, but it was a different one. It wasn't this one. It wasn't the Valasta. And besides the cost difference of Valasta being one of the more inexpensive ones out there on the market, especially for what it does, it's so amazing that it is more cost effective. But besides that, and again, I want you to understand, why is it cost effective? Because you can buy it one on Amazon or somewhere else. Let's say you get a bottle for $30 or $40. This bottle's $120 currently. You know, so if you get one on Amazon for, let's say, $30 or $40, the dosage they're recommending is 2 to 4 milligrams. Do you understand that? This can last you up to a month, and you're getting quadruple that, not even more than quadruple, up to 100 milligrams a day they're recommending. And so basically, if you took in this the amount that they're recommending, this could last you a much longer amount of time. So you might pay $40 a month for a month amount on those ones you buy in the market on Amazon or something. But this, if you take those recommended amounts, which I don't recommend because they're too low, but you'll still get maybe a minor benefit, but nothing like the healing that comes along with taking the Valasta. And those, if those did it in this form, it would be so much money you couldn't even afford it. I want to talk here about the difference, the true difference between this and what there's and every one out there. It says, so what is the difference, and where does Astaxanthin come from in general? And the purpose of this video is for you to know that not all Astaxanthin is equal. So, you know, this comes from a different place. First of all, you have to know the country where it comes from. This is from the United States, and there's a lot of astaxanthins that might come from different countries around the world, but this one is from the United States, and that does make a big difference in the quality and the standards, because some countries do not regulate or nearly have the scrutiny that they have in the United States. So it makes a big difference in the country you're getting from. We should know that. Now, but the difference in the quality of this Valasta astaxanthin versus other ones is so profound because it's infected by the environments. And it says that when air and water that the astaxanthin is grown in is contaminated by external factors and environmental pollutants, it degrades the quality of the product. So some astaxanthin manufacturers, even here in the United States, or claim they're made in the United States, in fact, maybe be getting their materials from overseas, which is one of the issues. So they might extract the astaxanthin here in the United States, but there's very little regulation and quality control overseas where they're getting the pollutants that remain and everything else. There's no way to remove those pollutants, and they go into the end product of the customer. So even if they claim they're made in the United States, they might not necessarily be getting the extracting materials from the United States, and that can create a problem. This Valasta is grown in the United States. All the parts and everything is used to extract it is from the United States, and it's made in a closed vessel extraction system, and it's done under strict guidelines using it's an extreme crucial CO2 extraction. And this is important because, let me read it here directly from the website. It says, our patent pending production process attaches a glucoside or a concentrated or a liposide molecule to the astaxanthin molecule, making it more readily absorbable. Valasta is only highly concentrated. One capsule can hold up to 40 milligrams. We do not put the product in a gel capsule, as the heat used to the capsulation process by doing it by machinery can degrade the astaxanthin. So basically, when you get it, you fill it yourself. They won't even do it because they don't want anyone on heat of any type to mess with this. But talking about the environment on this, and the process that they do with this, it's really amazing. The process they do it in is what allows it to penetrate the cell wall. These other companies, they don't do this. Their process doesn't allow this to happen. So not only are these other companies charging you so much and recommending the smallest dosages, but they're not even able to get through the cell wall the way this company is able to get through them. That's what makes it such a different product, completely different. I juice a lot of vegetables, a lot of greens. When you're juicing, you're separating, the fiber from the juice. So are you getting all the nutrients when you're separating?
Yeah, you're saving a digestion process when you do that. You're basically, when you juice and blend things up, you're pre-digesting those materials, because the body, through hydrolysis or just turning food over in your stomach, some animals will actually eat rocks to try to break the cellulose down. But that's what it has to get to, and the hydrogenation that happens in the stomach, or the breakdown of HCl has on those fibers in the stomach. But basically, blending everything up is a pre-digestion.
Yeah, because I can't no way eat the amount of salad that I juice, and I juice a ton. So
yeah, that you always run in, and you see it. Also, you run into, how can I eat this much volume?
Yeah.
And that was the problem I had on a very small scale with the algae. I just couldn't just eat the algae anymore. I had to extract the astaxanthin and get it into a more concentrated form, and without losing the value of the astaxanthin. So I began. I knew where astaxanthin came from. It came from an algae called Hematococcus pluvialis. The very first one I bought was at the University of Texas.
So astaxanthin, for people that are listening, it's an algae that. It's
actually, let me go through. Hematococcus lives in a very austere environment where it grows in its pond during the wet season. Then the pond will dry up. And if it doesn't find a way to block the ultraviolet light, it'll die. So it changed the way that it survives by producing astaxanthin, and it would push it out to the cell membrane, and it would block like a suntan lotion, to keep the ultraviolet light as its pond dried out and the salt level increased in the pond. That's what triggered it to produce this astaxanthin. So it would live 100 years in the dirt, waiting for the next rainfall. And it wouldn't be killed by the bleaching of the sun. And that's what it was. So when it came back, when it would the water would refill its pond, it would be a green algae, just like we see growing in water now. But when it got stressed, it turned candy apple red, and it's the astaxanthin that it pushed out. So I knew that if I grew the Haematococcus and I would simulate it drying out by increasing the salt content, I could make the algae believe that its pond is drying out. So increase the salt concentration, the algae says, oh my golly, my pond is drying up. I got to start producing astaxanthin, and it did. I couldn't quite put my hands on why it was working. So I spent 8 years and figuring out exactly chemically what was going on. And I figured it out.
I've heard of this product before. It's on the market. What makes Valasters different? And this is important for everyone to understand, because you can go up on the internet and look at Astaxanthin, if you could spell it, and you see other people selling it. But I promise you, Dr. Bishi told me this is different. And I want Sam to explain out why this one is different than the other ones on the market. And it's imperative that you understand this. You're just going to run and get the cheapest one you could find. This is so important to understand. So Sam, why is Valasta's advanced astaxanthin different than everyone else out there on the market?
It took me a long time to figure it out. But when I started out, I was eating the actual biomass. And when I switched, I thought I'd be so clever and use the concentrated astaxanthin that you can now buy at Walmart or wherever on the market. And where I was taking 100 milligrams and I was cancer-free, I didn't have to be phlebotomized anymore. When I went to the concentrated form of the astaxanthin, my cancer came back. And I kept increasing the dose. So where I was at 100 milligrams before, I got to 838 milligrams a day of the material that was on the shelf in a store. That's a big difference. That's a 8.3-fold increase that I had to go up in dose to get the same effect. And that caused some concern on my part, because there shouldn't have been a difference between the astaxanthin in the biomass and the astaxanthin that we just extracted using what's called supercritical CO2 extraction. So what was different? And the only difference was the process of extracting it. When I began to look at the astaxanthin in the natural form inside the algae, there's two forms that I found. One was called a glucosidic form, and the other one is called a liposomal form. The glucosidic form actually has a glucose molecule attached to the astaxanthin. So if this is the glucose molecule here, it is chemically attached to the astaxanthin molecule here. So when this goes into your small bowel, the cells love glucose, and it's called a Trojan horse. And I studied these a lot in other work that I've done. So when this goes down into the small bowel looks at that and says, that's glucose. It pulls it in, but guess what goes in with it? And it's called a Trojan horse. And they use this in the pharmaceutical industry. It's called a glucoside. So, and the liposomal form is a fatty acid. So I have a fatty acid molecule like vegetable oil. It'll attach to the end of the astaxanthin too. And in fat-soluble tissue, like cell membranes, this will carry it right in. And once it gets inside the cell cracks the fatty acid off. Now you just have the astaxanthin sitting there. So it turned out that it was an absorption issue. When you buy the stuff on the market in the oil form only, the pure astaxanthin, which technically is not natural because the glucoside and the lipid has been removed. But when you take that, only about 8% of that material is actually absorbed in the small bowel. With the Valasta that you showed there, we're up to 94% absorption. That was the difference. So the amount, the dose response that we saw by attaching that glucose and putting it back into its natural form, that was the game changer. That's why it worked. Now, how we did that, we currently have a patent pending on the process at which we attach that glucose to the astaxanthin, because you can't do it with temperature, or you'll totally destroy the astaxanthin, the inherent properties of the astaxanthin. So in other work where I had worked with electromagnetic pulse devices, we know the energy required to join the OH of the glucose onto the H of the astaxanthin, so we get water as a byproduct, and then they chemically stick. So now I got a glucose attached to the astaxanthin, and the absorption rate went sky high. That was the game changer.
Great product, but here's my update. I just got them in. I just got the packages in now. So if you go to rawlife.com, you can get this now. And if you're a member of the Raw Life Health Show, you can get it for 10% off. And so check that out, rawlifehealthshow.com. If you're a member of the Raw Life Health Show, you get 10% off. Let's see. Alrighty, so there it is. That's how it comes. And we got a whole bunch of these. I'm excited to get these in your hands. This product is the real deal, folks. And it's available now at rawlife.com. And remember, you can be a member of the Raw Life Health Show and get 10% off. And I'm going to get more in, but get these as soon as possible. Start taking them. As you can see, I take it, and I love it. And let me know about your testimonies once you start taking them. Thank you.
This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten